Hey guys, it's Jamie. Thanks for joining me. So today I want to show you one that I've been cooking for years, different variations of it. It changes all the time. So back in the UK, used to make it with cod. Today I've got some gurnard and some rockling. We're going to put some pancetta through there. So it's a bit of a surf and turf type fish cake. It's a bit different to the usual one. There's no potato in it. I'm always like, if you've got leftover mash, then just have the mash on the side with the fish cake rather than putting it through and bulking it out. Obviously, if you're using cooked fish, then you need to have a binder. But for this one, it's just going to be fish, pancetta, and a few other things in there. And then the weather is teasing us in Melbourne, so we're backwards and forwards to having the sun out or not. So normally I just like roast off some zucchinis, but as the weather is looking like it's going to turn and summer is coming, I'm just going to throw it through with a zucchini salad and keeping it simple, keeping it fresh, and then on the side we're going to put a sun-dried tomato creme fraiche. So sound good? Let's get into it. Firstly, the fish I've got is rockling that I'm just going to dice up, and we're going to fold that through afterwards. Some gurnard, so just a white fish that we can blend up. I've got some parmesan. This can either go through the mix of your fish cake or it can go through the salad. Today I'm going to put it through the salad. Normally I put it actually in the fish cake because I roast the zucchinis off and then just have those two things together. But as I'm making it a salad, it's just another element to go into the salad, so we can just have some shavings of the parmesan. I've got some pine nuts. They also can go in the mix, but again, because of the salad, I'm just going to throw those through. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is the cheaper piece of white fish. I'm just going to stick it in the blender with one egg, and then we're just going to blend that into a paste. And that's going to give us a nice binding when the proteins, when they cook, they're going to come together. So then this one, we can just put it in. I'm just going to cut it in half, just so it's not so much work on the blade. Put that in. You can chop it up if you want to, but it's just saving a board wash by doing it like this. And then we're just going to pulse. And that's that. So that way you've just chopped up your fish and you don't have to wash the board in between. And then we've just got to prepare the other elements that are going to go through there. So we've got some shallots, some basil, chili, pancetta, and if you wanted to, you could put in the parmesan and also the pine nuts. So I'm going to leave them out for the salad, but you can put them in there if you want to. But the only thing is, when you're adding the pancetta and the parmesan, just be really careful with the seasoning. When you're adding both lots, it's really easy to over season, but the salt really does help with binding the proteins, and then you get a nice cake that sticks together. And then just scrape that into a bowl, so it will be much easier to mix everything together afterwards. Okay, so just quickly gonna dice up this shallot, and that can go in. And then I'm going to put in a chili, so no seeds, just there for flavour and not for any heat, so just knock those out. Got my pancetta to go in, so I'm just going to use half of this. This is a 100-gram pack, so I'm going to put in about 50 grams. The other pieces you could actually just like bake them off in the oven and then leave them to go crispy in the oven, and then you've just got some pancetta chips to throw onto your salad if you wanted to. So that's half of it. Just chop that up relatively small, but you obviously want to be able to see it in there, so that can all break up. And then I'm just going to throw a few of these basil leaves through it. You can use any herb that you want. If you've got some parsley or anything that's available, just throw some herbage through there just to add a bit more flavour to it. So I'm just going to mix that up. So this mix is slightly wet. You could go straight into the pan, but just to make sure that it's holding together, I'm going to add some breadcrumbs. So these are panko breadcrumbs, and we're just going to put in a pinch at a time and then just fold them through, and that's just going to absorb some of the moisture, so then they'll be able to hold together much better, because you've got the egg in there that's created some excess moisture, but that's also going to bind it. So just a pinch at a time until you can see that it's going to hold together. That's looking pretty good now. Like, it's not all one solid ball, but when you pick it up and press it together, you should be able to make some nice patties. So when you're making the patties, a good thing to do is actually throw it from one hand to the other. And that way, if there's any air pockets inside, those air pockets, when it cooks, is what pretty much makes it fall apart. Because what will happen is the steam is then going to build up inside those pockets, and then it just creates an opening for the fish cake to fall apart. So if we can make up those patties, just throw it from one hand to the next, and then all those air pockets will be knocked out. So you can see that it's still slightly wet, but the salt hasn't started to work yet. So what we're going to do is put them onto a plate, and then we're going to leave them in the fridge to firm up, and they will just bind a lot better when it comes to cooking. So once you've got them into the patties, they can go into the fridge. And then while they're firming up, we can put together our zucchini salad. Okay, so for the salad, all I'm going to do really simply is just use a peeler. We're going to go round and make these into ribbons all the way till we start to see the seeds, and then just turn it to the side and do that, and then just keep on going. And that's it, I've got my nice ribbons. And then I can go in with some of my toasted pine nuts. You can use pecorino, parmesan, even goat's cheese would work nicely with this one. There we go, they're super long, so we'll just break those up. Bit more cheese. Got some basil, can just tear that and then just get rid of the stems if they stick out. But just break that down and then toss those through. And then I'm just going to head out and get a lemon off the tree, and then we're just going to finish it with some lemon juice and some olive oil. So you don't want to do that until the very last minute, otherwise it all just starts to deteriorate. So you want to just keep it light and fresh, and then when we've cooked the fish cakes, we can dress it and then plate it up so it looks nice, fresh and vibrant. If you dress it now, it all just wilts and deteriorates, and by the time the fish cakes are actually ready, it's going to look like it's died. So that can sit on the side. Literally just got the sun-dried tomato creme fraiche to put together, and the fish cakes will have firmed up nicely, and then we'll be ready to cook those. I'm just gonna get some of these sun-dried tomatoes. I can just put those straight on the board to chop up. And then just run the knife through that. Just put this in a small bowl. And then you can add a couple of tablespoons of creme fraiche to it. Right, that's nicely mixed. Just gonna go and grab that lemon. Just grab these couple and should be good. Right, so let's cut that in half and then squeeze the lemon juice into that, give that a mix, and then that's ready. The other half of the lemon we can throw into the salad, and then we've just got lemon wedges for garnish on the plate to go with our fish cakes. So let's just check the fish cakes, and you can see that they've firmed up nicely now. Like, you see, they're holding their shape, keeping it nice. So these are ready to cook off, and then we'll be able to plate up. Fire up the pan, grab your olive oil, and then generally it's going to be better if they've been sitting on the plate like that this side is going to be flatter than the top side, unless you've like pressed them into a ring. So it's better if you go in that side down, just because then you're going to get a nice even color, and it will just look much nicer when it comes to plating them up. So they can go in. So once they go into the pan, you really don't need to touch them that much. So you just want to make sure that they're not sticking, but don't move them around too much. Keep on touching them. So you just want to leave them sit and cook. And then once you've got enough heat into the pan, then you can just turn it down. So they're pretty thick, so you need to you want to be able to cook the fish all the way through before it gets too much color on. So you're just going to have to gauge your temperature, but if you're not sure, then just go to the lowest setting, and that way you're going to be pretty safe. So these are probably going to take about 4 to 5 minutes, but you don't want it to be cooked all the way through where it's become dry. So don't worry if there's a little bit undercooked in there, because that's just going to tick through when it rests anyway. So it won't take that much heat for these to cook. So don't stress. So, and if you're really unsure, then you can always put them on a tray and then just finish them off in the oven. You know, you just want to give it its time. So even if this flame is too high, then you can just take it off the heat and leave them sit there, and then just return them if you need to. So you want to use the biggest ring, just because that way the bottom of the pan it's quite even heat. With these ones, all the heat goes into the middle, and then it's not going to cook in the pan evenly. So you just want to use the biggest ring so you can get an even color on these. And look, they've got a really nice color now. So I'm just going to flip it over. You just need about another minute, and then they'll be good. Okay, so they're good. Just gonna take those off the heat. And you can feel on the side that they're ready. So they can just sit there, and then just gonna squeeze over the other half of my lemon. So if you've got some seeds in there, just squeeze it into your hand so you can catch the seeds. Just let the juice go through your fingers. So then you've got all the seeds there. Touch of olive oil. Just give that a mix. Make sure it's all nicely dressed. Ooh, I'm thinking could actually put some mint through this. Have I got any mint? Yes, I do. Put some mint in there. I love mint in my raw salads, especially with like fresh dishes like this. So just throw that through. Make sure it's well tossed. And then can stack up our salad. Ooh. Just make sure you've got your pine nuts and parmesan in there. All the parmesan just sticks to the side of the bowl, so just make sure that's on top. Then got my fish cakes. That's my white fish and pancetta fish cake with a sun-dried tomato creme fraiche, and then we've got a zucchini salad with parmesan and pine nuts. Let's just give this a go. Look at that. Pulling apart. So it hasn't got that chewy texture that you find sometimes, and that's because it's just been over blitzed. So that's why we have those pieces that are folded through rather than just chopped up. So let's just put this extra bit of lemon juice, bit of courgette. Wow. That's what I'm talking about. Fresh, flavor packed, easy dishes to prepare. So nice, easy one for some summer dining. So got that creme fraiche. It's actually like warm through. So it's a good bit of contrast in that dish with the hot, cold. Like it. So give it a go. If you like this video, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more, and until then, I will see you in the next one.